So we are in section 4 now, information security policy and guidance. And these topics, the learning objective will be we explain the information security organization structure and also briefly explain the management approach, the way we manage them. Those are the two areas we will cover in this session. Now, this is the introductory part, which is the responsibility. It is the responsibility of information technology system to protect the organization information assets, to comply with government rules and laws. If maybe you have heard about NDBC, Nigeria Data, NDPC, Nigeria Data Protection Commission. They are in charge that makes the law on how to manage Nigeria data. As an organization, how you use them, how you collect them, how you process them. They are the ones that make those words, the rules, the step by steps, those laws. And then they are the ones in charge. If you break such rules, that will be the one to fine you. Are you with me? So exactly, information technology system of an organization must be able to protect the assets, and to comply with government rules and laws, policy, standard must follow so that we comply with government rules and laws. So let's move on. Information security organization structures. This diagram represents an organization chart which show the hierarchy of the members in an information security department. See, this is how it is in the information security department. This is executive committee, which is the chief executive officer, and these three people: audit committee, security committee, and risk committee. The person that will join the executive committee will be head of this department of audit, security, and risk. So these are the three people that will join the chief executive officer in this committee. The head of audit will be the one who will represent them in that department. Security committee, which is chief security officer. Chief security officer will join them. Now, head of risk manager will join them in this executive committee. Now, in security committee, this is how they are also divided. Now, information under security committee, we also have some departments. Information security manager will be the head of all these departments. Information security manager will overhead policy and compliance, security administration, security operations, risk and contingency management. We overhead all these departments. The information security manager, while the chief security officer will overhead the information security manager. Let's move to the next left side, which is local security committee. Those are the physical security. When we have the technical and the administrative part, we also have the local security committee, one per location, which will be information asset owner, IAO, site security manager. Under the site security manager, we have security guards. We also have facilities management. Those security guards are those ones, security physical one. This is how it is being structured in an organization, in a company. So let's move to the governance inside information security governance. So information security is a mission critical functions, and it's a goal of the governance. The goal of the governance is to guarantee that the government agency are proactively implementing suitable security controls in a cost-effective manner. Their goal is to implement suitable security control in effective manner, in a cost-effective manner. The money is not too much. It should be the goal of an organization is minimize cost and increase in profit, maximize profit. That's the goal. When you are implementing security control, it should not be too cost, not be too more than the what, more than the company profit. You are generating in an organization, you are generating 5,000 or 10 million. Now the security control implementation costs 20 million. Is that a profitable business? No. At least if they are spending 1 million, 2 million on security control, it should be okay. That's the role of what? Governance. Components of information security governance. These are the components. We have external supervision, law, and order. From there, we move to the governance, strategic planning, organization structure, roles and responsibility, enterprise architecture, policy and guidance, continuous supervision, then implementation. All these things what make the component of information security governance. These are the things that oversee the implementations of information security procedure in the what? In the whole organization, in the entire organization. This is what? Structures. Now, these are the steps to implement information security in an organization or a company. Step 1, determine a standard or framework that will be the foundation of the security program. Is it NIST you are using? Is it COVID? Is it ISO? Which one are you using? Or the one provided by the what? By the local country law. So you have to pick a framework or standard that we use. Number 2, execute a complete existing security audit. Use already existing security what? Audit and use it to implement your own. Number 3 is compare the result of the audit against the standard set. The standard you are using, check the standard and compare the results of your audit. Does it comply? Does it correlate with each other? And number 4, prioritize policy, rules and control after identifying risk issues. You have to what? Prioritize policies, the rules, control after identifying risk issue. If there's any risk, there's any threat, make sure to prioritize it and make policy to control such what risk, to minimize the danger it will cause the what? The organization. Now, determine an information security framework. This is the structure. Once you determine it, execute the security audit, prioritize rules of control and for you to prioritize rule of control, you have to compare results against standard. After that, you go to what? Prioritize rules and control. Then you go back to the security audit. No. Just off it there. So these are the components. These are the steps. I mean the steps for what? For implementing information security. Now let's explain each one of them one after the other, the steps to implementing information security in a company. Number 1, for you to determine a standard or framework that will be the foundation of the security program. One is advantage of having a standard / as follows. Though the standards are collected from other companies that already have implemented security initiative, it can be tailored to suit the individual company requirements. You can collect this kind of standard from other companies that are already using it for their own security control and use it to implement your own. Number 2, adhere to common security vocabulary. Using a standard / framework, it helps in effective communication through IT organization. Using a common word vocabulary, terms, word, it will really help. Already existing one, using you, or you can create your own, so that it will just be like a signal word code. Once you say this on the word, and this is what we are talking about. Let's move to step 2. Execute a complete existing security audit. After determining the standard or framework that you'll be using, either you collected from other organization or you pick from existing framework. Now you now determine the organization can now execute an internal or external audit on that standard or framework. You can run audit on it. Maybe it should be suitable for your organization.
Sorry, sir. That internal and external security audits, what are the differences?
Okay, internal is your company auditors audit, while you invite an external to come and audit. Number 3, compare the results of audits against the standard set. Review the audit findings as against the framework/standard. Now the IT organization can tackle elements of security program like governance and security control. Now we have calculations of risk, which is risk equals to severity and impact. What damages will they cause and the severity. When we are talking of severity, what does severity mean? Probability.
Severity.
Yes.
I thought severity is something that is something that is severe, like the highest point.
When we are talking of severity, it's related to probability. Like, what is the what? Like probability of occurrences of this what? Of this risk.
Something that is very sure that the risk.
Yes, the risk is there,
from
but
0 to 100%, like
yes,
70 to 80%.
yes. What is the probability that this thing will occur? And once it occur, multiply by the what? The impact. If the severity is very high, the probability of occurrence is very high. We will now multiply with the damage. When we are talking of impact, we are talking of the damages it will cost the organization. What are the damages it will cost? That is what you are talking in this place. Risk is equals to severity multiplied by what? By impact, the damages. Are you with me? Where severity 1 to 3 is noted against each finding along the impact of 1 to 10. Hence, the risk score of the control family is the additional of individual risk score for findings marked with the above formula. For example, for a control family of access control, if the severity is high in a scale of 1 to 3 and impact is 5, the risk score will be 3 times 5 equals to what? 15. So that's an example here. Number 4, prioritize policy, rules and control after identifying your risk issue. After calculating the risk, establish priorities by tackling other elements of a security program such as security control, risk management, policy, continuous and ongoing monitoring such risks or threats. Are you with me? So you have to prioritize it and control such risk by implementing policies. So I think from here, if you don't press this button, this will not happen. If you don't do this, this will not happen. Your action will determine the response, right? Exactly. Thank you. Now, the overall approach and the elements of security program is depicted here. This is the what? This is the overall everything here. Here is to determine an information security framework. After that, you execute a security audit. From there, you compare the results against standard. Now you go to prioritize rules and control. From prioritize rule and control, you can come to the what? To execute or the security audit again to check. With this kind of policy, we will be able to go. Now, ongoing monitoring have to be in what? Ongoing monitoring, monitor the governance, the security control, the risk management and the policy before you come back here. You keep monitoring the cycle again. Are you with me? In this field, you can end up In this field, you can end up as a compliance officer, risk governance, risk and compliance officer in this field. So, commitment of management to information security, your commitment to it. Now, control of information security issues and management is an integral part of corporate governance. The executive director gets feedback from the FC, security, CSO, auditors, and risk manager. Here, the security committee, like the executive director gets feedback from the security committee, which are the chief security officer, the auditors, manager, and risk management also, and legal and other functions to make sure that all policies are in place and practiced. There are some rule also to enforce policies in an organization, like deduction of salary, or being sacked, or this and that one. The information security policy should be address system acquisition, development, and maintenance activities, including analysis of security requirements, ensuring data processing integrity, and periodic review of enterprise application. Cryptography controls change the management and the system file integrity. In today's world, identity theft is one of the fastest growing information crime. Identity theft. So these are the things we have to put in place. An organization information security policy must also take care of business continuity management to support crucial business function. Impact assessment is an important component for business continuity. Analysis and evaluation of critical functions such as operational, financial, reputational, and physical continuity requirements must be done. Information security management also must manage business continuity. They must manage it in case if there is any intrusion, if there is any attack. So you should know that this is what we are talking about here. So they must implement. There must be a framework. There must be a prepared plan to make sure that business operations continues, even though if there is any intrusion on business operations. So let's talk about information security coordination. Coordination of information security processes is important in an organization. It ensures homogeneous understanding of security principles, axiom, and policy. The coordination is done by staff from different parts of the organization with suitable roles and functions. These are the things we are talking about. Coordinating is done by staff from different parts of the organization with suitable roles and functions. You have to ensure that every policy is being adhered to by monitoring them and enforcing them. Now let's talk about allocation of information security responsibility. In an organization structure of information security, the executive director appoints the SO, CSO, Chief Security Officer, who in turn appoint the information security management teams. Manager or information assets owner are in the entire organization. Allocation of information security responsibility include the following. You know that when executive director give an orders, you have to go through the CSO, Chief Security Officer, before it gets to the downline, before it gets to the last, to everybody desk, which is going to work on his own part to accomplish his own work, his own part. Now, allocating responsibility, defining and identifying assets and security control for each facilities, each department, and then identifying responsibility of an individual in each facilities. If you are given a task, each department has their own task to accomplish. Now, it's based. The first thing is for you to identify each facilities that are going to participate in the are going to participate in the task. And after that, you now identify individuals that their role pertains to that task and pick them in their facilities to what? To carry out the task. This is how to what? This is how to allocate responsibilities to each staff. Now let's talk about information asset owner. Information asset owner. These are managers responsible for what? For safeguarding specific significant information assets by their local security committee or the security committee. It can be local security committee or security committee. Important duty of local of IAO information asset owner are to understand and observe the following. Their main role, their important duties is to observe this word, understand and observe the following listed, which is purpose of all the assets that are present. Now in a data center, we have each word information asset owner that manage each data each servers, database and the rest. Number one for them is to the purpose of all the assets that are present. What are the function and the purpose of all these devices in that place, in the data centers or in the server room? Number two, means by which information assets are created, updated and added. How did they create them? How did they add them? And how did they update them? Number three, information about access to data and reason for access also. Number four, assure senior information risk owner about addressing of risk to the asset. If there is any risk that is leveraging on each asset, their role is to inform the senior information risk owner to be aware of what is going on. Are you with me? That's all. That's. Now let's talk about information assets again. Information asset comes in different configuration. They can be grouped locally as follows. Number one, this is information asset. Now from information assets, we have the hardware part, the software part, and the personal information stored on this software, which is installed on this hardware. You know, this is the hardware, your computer, the server or your database, hard drive, the hardware, and the software is being installed on the device. Let me use an example of a computer. Your computer is the hardware, software being installed, and the personal information that the software carries.
Sorry, sir. The software is the app.
Yes, exactly, on the hardware, which the information or personal information is stored on the software. Now the process / system document, other information content, and malicious. Now when we are talking about personal information, we are talking about data files and database, archive and backup data, paper record and report and paper reports. These are what we talk about personal information. Now when we are talking about software, we are talking about system and application softwares, encryption utilities, development and maintenance tools like Microsoft Word, other software, accounting software, and so forth, like IDS, firewall. So we have host-based firewall, which is software package, and so forth like that. We also have hardware, which is computing hardware like PC, laptop, PDAs, communication hardware like removable media, and your phone also. These are examples of hardware. Process / system document, system documentation and information manual and training material, operation support procedure, contracts, warranties and agreements, business contingency plans. This is what talk about process system document. Now other information content, talk about data files and database audits. These are other information content. We also have miscellaneous service like electricity and air conditioning, people's keys, share service like network and printers, computer rooms, and equipment record libraries. That's for that. Are you all with me? Any question so far? No question. Right? Thank you. We continue. Now, information asset registered. Information asset is a mechanism which assists in categorizing individual bits of information and grouping them together. It provides an initial step in identifying the particular information that is what's needed. Information assets register provide an overall idea of what information is home, available and maintained. When we are talking of what? Information assets registered. Now let's move to organization information security policy. An organization should consider the formulation, communication, and publication of easily accessible policy, and this is one of the most critical control it should have. Organization information security policy. To be effective and practical, so it shows the organization commitment to protect crucial business processes and assets with the support from what executive staff. Reason to have information security policy. 1. A policy is defined in the dictionary as a high-level overall plan embracing the general goal and acceptable procedures. The following reason/causes mandated to implement information security policy. This reason I'm going to be listing, I'm going to be mentioning out, is what mandatory, the reason why we must what create policies. Now talking of policy, is a plan that embraces the general goal and acceptable procedure on how to perform a task, on how to manage information, how to control informations, data, protect them, on how to use them, on how to store them. That is policy. Now, the reason why we need to implement policy, I will be listed. I will be mentioning them right now. Number 1, security incident like hacking, loss of computer virus related downtime. To avoid this, we need to avoid this kind of incident, we need to implement information security policy. Force from a regulatory body. Regulatory body will force you to do that. Also, if you don't do it, you will be penalized. You will pay fine for that. And we also have demand from vendors, customers, or business partners for security policy also. Now, business is about trust. For me to trust you, or for you to trust me, I must do my business services must be of standard. Are you with me? My business procedure, products must be of standard. Now, for you to confirm that it's of your standard, you will check if there's a policy that supports the services. The policy, maybe I'm adhering to, maybe I'm using such framework to implement my own policy, and then I enforce it in my organization and so forth. Now, another one is change in management, where new management impose control, recognizing the inefficiency. Maybe there is change in government or management, and you see that the old policy is not working, and then it's inefficient. You need to enforce it, or we can change the policy. Also, maybe the old format or the old method, the traditional method, is not working again. That's when this will come into place. Are you with me? Thank you. Reason to have information security policy. Now, information security policy needs to have some objective as follows. Number 1, policy needs to be consistent with each organization risk acceptance level. It has to be consistent with each risk. Policy and it must be in an acceptable level. Number 2 is policy are a must if a company information technology is shared geographically. If your information is being shared geographically, a policy is what is mandatory. Number 3, depending on the local law and regional risk, policy need to be region specific. Depending on the local law, your policy needs to be region specific. And number 4, policy must be supported by an overall approval structure. It must be also supported by overall approval structure. Let's move to the next, which is every organization have a set of rules that directly or indirectly contributes to being security policy. These rules are: number 1, physical security policy. Number 1 is to implement for staff safety, badges and identification, and building security. These need to be implemented for physical security of IT infrastructure as well. If not, the security policy needs to be updated. Now, the physical part, either you give your staff badges, identification card, building security card, so that before they enter the building, you need to identify themselves. Okay, you have the right to enter this building, this business environment, the organization environment. And also, personal policy could include hiring rules, background check for new hires, contractors, vendors, and consultants. If this is inadequate for information security purposes, make addition to the same. That's what is. Now, management approach to information security in organization. Now, in terms, when we are talking of approach, like the way they handle it, the way they will manage it. In terms of information security, management means effectively initiating plans, executing them, and monitoring information security activities throughout the organization to achieve the security objective and to protect it from what? From threats. That's the good. Monitoring them, executing the plans, and they are the ones to initiate it, execute and monitoring it step by step, following it up to see that okay, everything is in line with the local rules and regulations to protect the asset, the organization's asset from from threats. That's for that. So we have process documentation. It's very beneficial since they describe a sequential and systematic approach to conducting and completing business activities. And number 2, analyzing current state of organization information security is very interesting. Defining a realistic target state is very challenging also. Effectively internal control and across the organization are what an internal or external auditor will check within an organization. If an internal or external auditor should come now, they will check if you are enforcing this or this policy we are talking about. The security control we are talking about. Are you enforcing it? Those are the things they will check. Are the policy in line with the organization, with the security control? Are the threats being controlled very well? The risk is being monitored very well? The security policy is being implemented very well? That's for that. Those are the things the auditor will check. This is the summary of today's class. We talk about an IT organization can identify security areas that are at high risk by security audits within the context of a standards/framework. And this allows the organization to prioritize the development of policy and procedures, implementation of security control, and ongoing monitoring of the security programs. The company can slowly grow its security program and implement formal control as it addresses different audit issues. And then improvements can be tracked with the iteration and when the security control are implemented, depending on the audit analysis. Training must be provided to the entire staff on information security policy and the company expectation according to each of their roles. And then we also talk about security responsibility, which must be captured in job description as well to understand the suitable role that they are considered for. Consequence for not following to corporate policy must be shattered out in details also, must be explained in details. We also have APT labeling of all crucial data and assets along with paper and digital media to guarantee suitable level of protection must be also practiced also. And high quality information security policy needs to be documented and emphasized on periodic review to be effective. Develop and improve and approve policy exception process, which essentially allows for risk-based exemption from policy where needed by managed business purposes also. This is the end of today's class. Any question? So thank you. This is the end of this material. Thank you.